In our previous video, we talked about the different study types. In this video, we shall talk about sampling techniques. It's important because once you're going to do your research, whether you're going to recruit participants or you're going to use secondary data or whatever thing you are doing, you will need to do sampling. This is where you only pick a portion from a population, some people from a population, some data set from the whole data, so that they can act as representatives. Why? You may not be having the resources to do study amongst everyone. Two, you may not be having the time. So sampling is very important amongst some other reasons. But also it's important to identify the type of sampling method you are going to use. Each of them do have strengths and weaknesses, and each of them do have areas where you can use them. One type is random sampling. So your sampling techniques can fall under random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, convenience sampling, purposive sampling, snowball sampling, and that. Now, what does each of them mean? In random sampling, this is where each member of a population has an equal chance of being selected for the study. If you go a class of 100 people and you want to pick 10 people randomly, everybody by that time will be having an equal chance of being selected. Now, in stratified sampling, when you divide populations into subgroups, or what is called sometimes strata due to a given characteristic. Let's say you want to do a study, you are trying to compare the stress level between males and female students. In that case, you will have to divide male alone and female alone. So that type of sampling is called stratified sampling. Then we have the cluster sampling. So this is where you divide populations in clusters or groups based on geographic or other characteristics. So let's say you want to compare the income level of people living within town versus those ones living within villages. You then have to cluster. You then have to cut. Okay, for you are within town. Okay, I'm going to recruit you under town. For you, since you're in the village, I'll recruit you under the village participants. In that case, because you have divided your participants due to the geographic region or due to other characteristics, in that case, that would become a cluster sampling. This photo can show us here that in stratified sampling, everybody who is red, everybody who is male, grouped alone, females, grouped alone. In cluster sampling, no, we are using other characteristics to cluster our participants. Then there's convenience sampling. This involves selecting participants who are readily available or they are easily accessible. If this is mostly applicable in case your prospective participants are fewer. So let's say you want to do a study amongst mad people on street. Those people are fewer to get. So you cannot go and begin randomly sampling. No, you just have to use the person who is available and you see. Then we have the purposive sampling. Purposive, from the word purpose. So this is where you deliberately select participants who meet a specific criteria as per your study. So let's say you want to do a study on domestic violence amongst HIV patients. It is just ideal that you have to look for HIV patients first. Then you can assess domestic violence amongst them. That would make very logical sense in that case. So in that aspect, that would become a purposive sampling. Then there is snowball sampling. In snowball sampling, you must identify initial participants who meet your study criteria, and then you ask them to refer other potential participants. Now this is common in scenarios where it is very hard to identify participants. One of the projects that I worked with one of the clients, we are trying to assess the impact of Facebook marketing on the consumer purchase decision for those ones within my country. Now, because Facebook is broad, it would be very hard to really screen. It would be hard for me to screen out who is from my country. So we decided to only look for a few participants within Facebook that we are sure that they are from Uganda. And then we ask them to share our questions with those ones that they are their friends and they're sure they are from Uganda. So that was snowball sampling, and it was very successful. Now, even when you have sampled your participants, the question therefore remains, How will you measure their responses? How? So you need to know which scales will you use to measure their responses. That's why it's very important for you to watch the variables you measure and how do you measure, which scale do you use to measure them. So watch the next video so that you know which scales or which variables you will be measuring if you go to the field.